Mr. Ashish Ahuja, Chief Operating Officer, Fino Payments Bank Limited. Welcome. Major Ashish Ahuja, Fino Payments Bank's Chief Operating Officer since June 2020, brings over 28 years of diverse experience blending military service with expertise in banking, channel management, and retail adept at executing complex projects. He focuses on innovative solutions, corporate partnerships, and seamless service delivery. His leadership ensures cohesive functioning across products, central operations, and affiliated functions for optimal customer, client, and merchant satisfaction. Our fellow panelist, Mr. Parag Lokhande, EVP, Head Analytics and Strategy, Kotak Securities. Everyone, let's give it up for Mr. Parag Lokhande. Mr. Dharmender Narang, Senior Vice President, Chief Customer Experience Officer, IIFL Securities Limited. Welcome, sir. Mr. Shankar, Senior Vice President, Customer Service, Future Generali, India Insurance Company Limited. Welcome. Mr. Aniket Thacker, Deputy Vice President, Embedded Finance and Fintech Partnership, Kotak Mahindra Bank Limited. Give it up for him. Mr. Suryaprakash, Bajoria, Vice President at Digital Star Union, Dai-ichi, Life Insurance Company Limited. And Mr. Abhineet Shankar, Digital Innovation One, Conversational AI Factory, Tata AIA Life Insurance. I would request all the attendees, partners, members to give a huge round of applause to the entire board of panelists and moderators, the FSI Conference and Awards 2024. Over to you, to the board of fellow panelists. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good. I think this is a good panel because you guys have just had a nice hearty lunch. Hopefully you'll sleep through it. And our job is to make sure that you remain awake for some time. So let's see if we can do justice to that. With that, firstly, a big thank you to the organizers for having all of us on the panel. From my side and on the co-panelists. Gentlemen, welcome to the panel. Okay, running into the conversation for the day, product and innovation and technology. You know, frankly, if you ask me, I am not sure who's responsible for the name in the organization. Because either one of these verticals can't survive without the other. Today, if your CTO is not innovative enough, I think your chief product officer cannot deliver what he wants to deliver. And if your chief product officer is not thinking beyond the current set of customers, you're looking in a different direction for the company. So these are two verticals today, if you ask me, are, really need to be commingled. Your CTO needs to be as much or more of a business guy than the product or the business teams, because not only does the CTO need to manage complex technologies and everything needs to be done as of day before yesterday, but also meet the aspirations of the business. And it's the tech guy who really knows what little differences in coding can make to that delivery at the business end. So, with this as a little prelude, I think I'll jump in to a question answer session with the elite panel. And we start with you, Hari. So, Hari, BFSI organizations leveraging product innovation and technology. These are evolving needs which are today there. And coming from a background of insurance, what are your views on what are the expectations of the customer and how can these two verticals go about meeting them?
Thank you so much, Ashish, for the question. I think what you will hear will be not really like Eureka, but something I hope resonates with you because all people here are experts in their field. All are banking and financial services professionals or fintech professionals, and maybe something very similar you are doing in your line. So we are an insurance company, and Generali is like 190 plus years old, And when they are there, they aspire also to deliver the cutting-edge technology and innovations to customers and to be in the new world space. So when we talk about product innovation and leveraging digital over there, first thing is to understand what the customers are wanting. And for that, it's important to have a process, a digital insights process in place. It cannot be standalone that I feel this would be required. At our organization, what we do is we leverage the insights from the partners and from the customers, because the first customer is my partner, the agent, the broker. They'll give the insights about what is working well in the market, what is the competitive priorities, and what could be the new things. Secondly, insurance is moving, or any financial product is moving towards an ecosystem of services, and they are so integrated that you cannot distinguish one from the other. So it's no longer like in the sense of hardcore old age insurance where you are underwriting only the risks, but you are also providing a gamut of services. Now, for example, to exemplify, and all insurers what their salt are doing that, if you are offering a motor product, then you are bundling in so many value-added services like the roadside assistance or the coverages, the inconvenience allowance, or the towing, or so. Those also become pretty like sort of tied in, and they become the norm or the expectation for the customer today. So what we do in our organization, we have an idea lab. We gather the inputs from the employees through this idea lab, a platform which allows people to feed in their ideas, and who knows which can be the best idea over there. On the innovation side, like I talked about ecosystems of services. So some things we are doing into is like health insurance. Health is something everyone looks at as hospitalization expenses. But how can we present insurance that one can resonate with or remember throughout the year or sort of utilize through the year? So we have a product where wellness is like that, where the customer through the app can record all the wellness steps he takes, the exercising that he does, or the other things that he does to keep himself in good health, and which in turns accumulates as points, which he can then use towards his renewal or other benefits which are tied into the product, like the doctor on call, consultations or so. So it's no longer purely an insurance product. Or for example, when we take insurance product, there would be so many things which would be standard in the product. But we wanted the customers to be able to customize that. And I'm sure other insurers are doing. So we have a do-it-yourself concept when the customer is choosing his health insurance, and he does it online. Now, talking about the technologies, it's a good time, a good spot to be in. New age technologies, and so many technology partners are available. Some of the things delve into how to service the customer better using the new age technology. Video is a key mode that we leverage. So for example, at the moment of truth, the claim, it's not necessary that a physical survey need be conducted. The customer can record a video, or maybe during even the taking up of insurance, the pre-insurance survey that can be done through the photographs and the videos. As a next step, we are looking at AI being able to evaluate it. Still, there is someone human who is evaluating. But what is important is while doing these technologies to understand that we are dealing with a human being, and this technology too should be humanized, or for servicing that the customers. I mean, the bots are something which everyone is using. We have our WhatsApp bot, and also a bot on the website, a property which is Leo, which is intelligent, which is quirky, which not only resolves the customer's problems, but also like is able to crack a joke or two relating to his nuances, and maybe make insurance a little less drab and interesting. Many more things will continue to evolve, but what is important is to understand the pulse of the customer, and is there a need for it, not only because it is present. So for example, on our farmer side, when we serve the farmers, the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana customers, these are customers who come in peaks or troughs. So the volumes of calls come in peaks at particular times, and for them we have devised multi-regional language WhatsApp bot, so that they can seamlessly register their claim on the bot, and the CSC center or the customer themselves can avail these. So good times, exciting times, and I'm sure a lot of similar innovations happening on side of other financial players and insurers also.
Thank you, Hari. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Moving on to you, Abhineet. Abhineet, coming from your background where you're looking after digital innovation and conversational AI, what are those future-looking technologies that you are looking from a product perspective that can help your industry or the environment in generic or your customer? Any examples of the same that you may have implemented in your organization?
So thank you, first of all, Ashish, for the question, and thank you for having me here. So I'll tell you from a point of view that what is happening in the industry and where we see the future tech can go into. I'll try to put some thoughts which can be further thought upon, explored more. Let me put in that way. And I think Hari has put some of the very important points of what they have been doing today, right? That conversational AI and bots, which has been always been there. So I would like to try and frame it as more like a non-invasive and contactless approach. So if you see, there has been a trend, I would like to call it as a trendy form factor which has evolved gradually. Let's talk about payments, right? It has started with a commodity, went to cash, then to cards, then to phone, right? And then people are going for a ring, or they don't want to put their hand in the pocket and want the payment to happen. So there is a trend setting which is happening. Like every 1 year, 2 years, you see this kind of things are coming in. And I think the non-invasive way or contactless way is something is going to the future. And to every organization who want to be in that zone has to, first of all, which I think is very important, has to think upon a very good cloud strategy. So if you see, people have been now talking about multi-cloud strategy. People are talking about just not depending on one cloud partner. So how you can go ahead that. You need to increase your computation speed. You have to think about edge computing more now because you want to make your real-time decisions. So to give this kind of experience, personalized experience, today, if I go to any product company or any company today and want a customer support experience, I would always expect that it has to be very personalized to me. So, getting that expectation set by customers to reach out to that position to be, not just create your products around being personalized, even the services has to be personalized to you, right? So that's one way, and I think this can be achieved in a way. One is, of course, which I mentioned about the cloud computing, is one way to go there to make real-time decision thoughts. The second, I think, which is a lot of we talk about, it's there everywhere, right? AI, right? I don't know anyone in the room who has not heard about AI. Everyone talks about it. Film stars talks about it, so it's very generalized for everyone. So I look out. AI has been there from so many years, and generative AI has also been there. We have seen generative AI in action in last couple of years and how it has been shaping up the things. But there is a thing which we have to think upon now, that generative AI is for generating a content. It will not help you make that decisions. It doesn't points or questions what ifs. It doesn't questions why, right? So when you talk about AI, you have to put correlation and causation into it. So start thinking from that perspective that, whenever I am trying to use a generative AI, I have to put a thought of correlation and causation into it. And what do I mean by that? It's not about predicting what is going to come next. It's about recommending what is going to happen. And I act upon those recommendations. So there is always, today, if any machine learning model, if you see today, right, it works on, you give a set of data, it run those models and give you an output basis what it has learned. That's how a machine learning model works. When you talk about putting a causation and correlation into it, you are actually questioning the data, that what is the relation between why this has happened because of this. A very small example can be like a vaccine which you take, right? When India launched its own vaccine, it has to be questioned in that, we don't question the efficacy of a vaccine. We normally question that how effective that vaccine is. But the question is, we have to create that correlation. We have to see different type of categories to whom it is impacting. That's the kind of thought you have to put into a model, and that's where we need to embed generative AI with a causation and correlation. So that's a second thought I would like to share. The third is, of course, there is so many things we are talking on open APIs and everything, and India has one of the largest digital public infrastructure which has to be leveraged. It has so much capability. I feel, personally, I feel it very confident about it that, the thought of creating these DPIs has been excellent. You started from your identity, data, everything you reach there. So, and there are so many things, today coming in together because we have this digital public infrastructure with us, right? Whether it is account aggregators or if it is the recent ONDC which you're talking about, it is for every organization. It's not, if you see, it's not just financial services which is coming in. It's every organizations are able to connect with each other. So either it's a company who sells consumer products can also try to look up and share some banking services. So it has just embedded everything so closely. And I think that's something we should leverage going forward. Something, because I talked about data, AI, everywhere, DPIs, it's all about data which is running around, right? And I think one very important thing which we have to take care is on the data privacy. We have to value customers' consents. We have to think of in that way that whatever we are holding as a data from our customers, either it's for making decisions, right? That has to be protected in a right way. Just ensuring that your database is encrypted will not suffice the problem going forward when you do this, right? Because with the new things which is coming in, just encrypting is not going to support it. That's what I feel. What we have to think upon is look upon a way that if I can act or compute on my encrypted data. So normally what happens today is that we say that every data is encrypted, stored at our end. And whenever we want to compute anything, make any decisions, do analytics on it, right? We normally do a decryption of that data and understand what the data is about. And then we give our results. Right? There's always a leakage, chances are always there. We have to think upon a tech wherein it can actually work and compute on the encrypted set of data. You don't have to decrypt it. And that's what we call as a homomorphic kind of encryption, which is something we should start exploring, start thinking about how as an organization we should be able to achieve it. And of course there are papers about polymorphic encryption. That's another way ahead of homomorphic. But I think that's the first stage or thought which we have to embed in our process, that how this can be implemented, so that whenever we are designing any product or designing anything in our organization, we should always put design by privacy as one of the important point in our head, that whatever we are creating, privacy and the consent of customers should not be degraded. So I think these are the 4 points I thought of sharing more, but I think in the interest of time, I'll just go ahead with it. But these are the 4 thoughts which I would like to share.
Thank you so much, Abhineet. The only thing, I think I'll catch up with you on machine learning, because I've been taking 25 years of learning from my wife, but this machine still doesn't seem to have got perfected. So offline thoda mujhe gyan de dena tum, theek hai na? Moving on to you, Aniket. As a person who looks at embedded finance and fintech partnerships with Kotak Mahindra Bank, what do you think are strategies that financial institutions should adopt to foster a culture of continuous innovation? And how do you think technology and product can partner in the same to have a services-oriented kind of an approach for the organization?
Thank you so much, Ashish. Pleasure to be a part of this interesting panel. A lot has been spoken about fintech partnerships. A lot has been spoken about the need of any financial institution, including a bank, to have focus on continuous innovation happening from the hub, which is Bangalore, and nowadays even Hyderabad and even Delhi NCR. So there has to be a synergy between any legacy system or a legacy organization like a bank towards these emerging, new age, highly ambitious founders and innovators. So like I mentioned in my previous panel, every bank has an innovation lab. Every bank is experimenting a lot of new technologies with in-house capabilities, also doing POCs with so many interesting startups and fintechs across the globe. I've seen fintechs from Israel of lately who are trying to venture into the Indian market. They have some excellent technologies on fraud detection. They have some excellent technologies on helping lenders underwrite. There have been some interesting names who've been part of a lot of events and a lot of demonstrations that have happened of lately. So the essence of innovation is you should have an open mind. I mean, today we all know about video KYC. While it has an upside, it has a downside. But it has eventually tried, and it is mostly replacing the feet on street, the physical agents who have to go to multiple locations to get the KYC done. There was a time, a couple of years back during the COVID era, video branches were being discussed. In fact, there was a trial that happened that, once you walk up to a branch, it's not necessary that you see a person. Like someone from behind the scenes is talking to you who's not a bot. Of course, bots has also come in. There's been an evolution in the chatbot industry. Resolutions have become so quick. Every bank, every institution, every e-commerce player has a bot of his own who's talking to you, who's like Sir said, who's cracking a joke or two, who's making things simpler for you. So evolution is a part of any bank's digital transformation story and tale. Of course, a lot has been spoken. I think there are more learned people who have spoken about AI, ML, blockchain. But as a part of the Fintech partnerships team, we keep talking to a lot of these players who have some interesting models they're experimenting, who are helping banks solve problems. Most of the banks today, I don't see a single institution who do not have a good amount of partners onboarded, and some of the processes or some of such steps in the flow are outsourced. Like, let's say, while opening an account, there are some initial flags that need to be checked. So there are Jokatas of the world who are giving you all those red flags. While underwriting, there are a lot of people who are helping with whatnot, CIBIL scores, these scores, that scores. SME banking is largely dependent on such fintech players who help banks make that decision, who help verify, like ScoreMe, who's amongst us today, helps in all the GST related verification. There are banks who help verify a lot of details. So, I mean, there are institutions who help verify a lot of details. So nothing, like synergy is the essence. Nurturing new technology within your bank's backyard is the need of the hour. Investing in that technology, adopting that technology, be it marrying the startup, marrying the fintech, investing in that startup, investing in that technology. That is what has come out today when we see a lot of platforms who are now coming up to banks going up to these ERPs, marrying them, and hence we see the Razorpay X's of the world doing wonders in the neo and the connected banking space, where everything is there for a business owner or a sole proprietor in one login. You have a Tally plugin, you have a Zoho plugin, you have the payroll players, you have HRMS, you have anything and everything to do with banking, including credit cards, lending. So all of this is the result of the synergy that happens. And now these days we come up to new terms. There is a RegTech available for banks. There is an InsurTech. I'm sure everyone knows about it. So technology is getting dangerous, but at the same time interesting. Dangerous because everything to take shape takes a decade of experience, takes a decade of experimentation. But interesting because it makes banking a little less boring, a little less painful. None of us would like to go to branches these days because everyone wants everything at their doorstep or in the mobile banking app. There are like activating a debit card or a credit card, which was, I'm pretty sure most of us would agree, was such a painful affair to get that secret pin, to get that thing scratched, to go to some place, to get an OTP, to enter it some in ATM machine. Now the world is going towards just open your bank app, do the two-factor authentication, the cryptography, and just tap the card behind your phone. There are fintechs who are doing POCs with banks. 4 banks have invested in that POC. You just tap the card, you keep the card behind your phone and your card is active. Who doesn't want this? Because for that matter, why do you even need cards? The world is going towards virtual cards. The world is going towards tap and pay. So most of the things you see in your day-to-day banking routine are an evolution. Like it's not to do with going to the branch. It's not to do with calling the contact center. And hence, it is very essential for the banks to keep their eyes open, to keep investing, to keep looking out for such interesting propositions coming in. Of course, everything comes with a negative mindset to start with when you have a lot of reputation, goodwill at stake. But at the same time, once you take that risk and do all the necessary application security and information security assessments, and you launch that feature as the first of a kind in the market, you have that cutting edge and the advantage. So, I mean, these technologies are the future, and we have to live with it, and we have to be a part of that story.
Thank you, Aniket. Thank you so much for that. Surya, moving on to you as the head of digital at Star Union Dai-ichi. You know, fintechs are here to stay. Do you look at them as disruptors? Do you look at them as partners? Do you believe collaborations are possible? And if yes, any example that you could give in your organization where a good fintech and your organization's partnership has, given fruitful gains to you, both sides?
Okay. See, as insurers, we always face this problem that insurance is a very complex product, very boring, kind of a push product. And what we do, if we meet the customer digitally or even physically, we ask them some questions. What is your current life stage? What are you looking for? Wealth creation, retirement planning, child education. Would you want a lump sum amount, or would you want some income? All these questions we ask the customer, and then we suggest them the product and give them a benefit illustration, which is again very complex. And this is a problem statement where we thought that what excites the customer or anyone is a food, an entertainment, or probably a comic character. And can we look at some fintechs in the market where we could have this as part of the journey, as part of the need analysis, put the person into some scenarios, and understand whether that person is a proactive person or a reactive person, a self-driven guy or an assisted guy, more of a cautious person or a free bird kind of a person, and yeah, all these things. So, and what is the kind of spends that person does, all that through a very, very simple questions and kind of a flow, and then arrive at some characteristics of that person. Probably that guy could be a discerning donut, guy could be a cautious cabbage, okay olive, and link it to some Hollywood characters, and kind of create a comic chart of that, stating that in this scenario, this is how you will behave. And that kinds of leads to a very different level of engagement, because across the industries we have these financial calculators. Across all the insurance companies, we have this need analysis. We have this goal sure whether you want to achieve this, or you want to spend this, and basis that there is a recommendation which is there. So this is a very unique thing which we came across, and then we tied up with this fintech on our platform, and this is picking up. This is part of our overall wellness ecosystem which we have created. Because as an insurer, we believe that insurance as such is not a need product, which is the bank, which is a day-to-day transaction product, which is a need, it is a pull, or even loan, it is a pull product. Insurance is more of a push product. Can we create a kind of an engagement? Because across the CLM, the life cycle, hardly the insurer connects with the customer rather than just trying to get the premiums if the customer has not given a mandate, and then there is a claim. So there is no connection. So how can we create that kind of an engagement, which gives us a very, very strong cross-sell opportunities? And yeah, that is what we have built, and we have created this UMatter ecosystem, which is more of a wellness ecosystem, which covers your physical wellness, mental wellness, and obviously this financial wellness, which I spoke about this particular. So we have collaborated with a lot of fintech players. this is one example I thought will be very, very unique and different. So yeah, thank you.
So Surya, just picking up from there, I wanted to ask you another thing. In my experience, the contours of the relationship between a fintech and the insurer or a bank, any financial organization which is regulated at the back end, right, needs to be very, very deeply demarcated. Because when the first step of the partnership is over, which is, let's say, getting some customers on board, and you see initial successes, then both entities want to own the customer.
Absolutely.
And finally, being a regulated entity, feels that this ownership is totally mine. And so how do you demarcate between that line? How do you protect interests for a regulated perspective? And how do you also ensure that you're fair to a fintech which has probably helped you, breathe innovation into a particular process or into a journey?
So see, the journey where we are starting is not even getting into the customer. And we are not even telling that we are getting into a stage of actually acquiring the customer. See, my sales officer is going to the customer. Very simple example on the field. That person is directly going and trying to sell to the customer the product where there is a maximum incentive, maximum commission, and which he has been asked by his boss to sell. So then the form filling, everything is just an activity which is there. So customer also does not love unless and until he has a very strong relationship with that salesperson, he would not want to entertain. So the problem that happens is, and this is a problem I think all of us insurers would be sharing, is your lead to login ratio is absolutely low. It is not even 1%, because when the lead, according to you as a marketer, lead, you have given a very hot lead or warm lead. But actually the way that person is pitching on the ground, customer is not even interested to discuss. So our journey is how we can improve the funnel and not thinking about the funnel that yes, this person is convinced or he wants to give me time. No, he is not giving you time. It is not his need, it is more of your need as an insurance company to actually get that person into your ecosystem, the funnel.
Got it.
Yeah, so that is where we are currently trying to build a kind of an alternate mechanism itself.
Thanks Surya for that. Moving on to you, Parag. So Parag, as an analytics guy, a lot of customer feedback would be pumped into your vertical and you would be expected to slice and dice the data, come out with new thoughts as to how do we imbibe that feedback, how do we improve a process. So what is it that, analytics as a base, vertical play a role in improving customer experiences across the organization chain?
Sure. Thanks, Ashish, for the question. I think, I had a privilege of working in insurance, in lending, and now I'm part of the capital market. So I think one thing which is most important or common in all is the customer. I think as Surya and as Abhineet said, right, products are same. One of the point that Abhineet said is probably in last 6-7 years, one thing that we have seen is the rise of UPA. What is probably one innovation that you would have seen which has changed the way in which merchants have started using it? It's just a small box which tells them that X amount has been paid. This was the problem which people were facing, right? There was a fraud, somebody used to show a screenshot, somebody used to show something, people were not aware. Somebody heard customer and then came up with a very small innovation and which changed the way in which merchants have started using it. Now, this is not something new. Probably, in the 18th century, if we go back, Adam Smith has, talked about it. At that point of time, he had said that if you want to see how the machine can be improved, just observe a worker, the way he's looking at it. Probably we are fortunate enough that we don't have to go to the factory. We can sit in our office, listen to customer. Social media is everywhere. Everybody's there on Twitter. Everybody's there on LinkedIn. Everybody's talking about it. Probably some of you might, write about the feedback of what we are talking about at this moment also. So it gives you an ability, and that's what analytics, does. So, when we talk about the new AI tools, sitting here, you can identify what are the challenges that the customer are facing, what are the good things that they are liking, what are things that they don't like, what are the areas in which they want an improvement, what are the pain areas that they have. what we do in our organization is we listen to our customers very closely. Twitter allows you, and the new AI models and ML models allow you to understand, break those tweets, break those sentences into meaningful and actionable items for business, to say what is it that people want. Do they want a better UI? Do they want a faster app to work? Do they want better customer service? Do they want to reach out to you directly? Do they want to talk to humans? So a lot of us believe that customers do not want to talk to humans. We are Indians primarily. We like to talk. So how can you give them a better one? Is it that for certain kind of questions they can directly get a do-it-yourself kind of an answer? And in some cases they can reach out to the customer service itself. Also, if you look at it, there are a lot of innovations that we have seen. Probably just taking a small example. How many of you probably use Jio? I'm assuming most of you, right? All of you know, right, that we have not paid for Jio. Jio is free. But we expect the same kind of response that we get from Netflix. Customers' experience is changing. Gone are the days where they will settle for a cheaper product just because, or cheaper service, just because they are not paying for it. Now customer experience the same kind of service that he or she is getting for a premium product. So if you have an app, probably the best of the class, they are expecting the same kind of services and product what they experience when they are giving a premium for it. So in that line of thought, what becomes important is how do you give the right kind of input to business. I'm sure all of us are facing the challenge where there are n number of items to be worked upon. Which one to prioritize? Which is that small item, which is that small tweak, if you do, will give you a higher benefit. So that's where once you listen to the customer, either that can be on a Twitter, social media, or as Hari said, surveys, or probably when they are calling up your call center, you convert the voice into text, understand what is the sentiment of the customer. Is customer angry? Is customer happy? What is the kind of feedback that he or she gives? We all look at NPS. Also, what is important is we look very closely at the kind of feedback that our telecallers write. How many times the customer is reaching out to you? How many times does he has to wait for getting a service? What is a kind of fraction? So we have more than 1,000 KRAs in our app where we look at very closely that what are those areas in which customer is facing a problem. And in case if it doesn't, come to the standard that we are looking at, or we see that this is where the challenge is, we try and tweak it. So that's where, analytics is working very closely with business to understand and solve customer problem. And that's how we use it.
Thank you so much, Parag. Thank you for your thoughts. Lastly, moving on to you, Dharmender. As the head of customer experience at IIFL Securities, how do you see digital channels making your life a little easier? And how do you kind of embed them in the journey so that the customer experience, gives you that little extra wow factor?
Thanks, Ashish. I think this is very, very critical and very important question. If you look at the journey, we started with digitalization, then we come to analysis, and then we come to generative AI. If you look at the pace, the way we are moving is very fast. Every 6 months you find the technology has changed, the interaction level has changed, the set of customers has changed. One most important thing probably we need to focus on what we want to deliver. If all the technologies are available, it doesn't mean that you use all the technology to deliver it to all the customers. Now you have to focus on which technology for which set of customer is important. So where there's channelization come into picture. Which digital channel is good for which type of customers and which type of products. Now if you look at if you talk about retail, like banking retail. So if you want to give that service, the first and foremost is how easy and convenient it is for him to explore your app, right? Everybody has spent time in upgrading their apps, and that is the first and the foremost in any interaction point for any customer. But how many will look at how many things we give, and how many people will look at how simple it is. So basic concept of keep it simple, we sometimes forgot and try to give too many things that customer keeps searching for things what is required. And secondly is the how interactive that app is. See, we may have chatbots, we may have all the technologies, but the issue is how it is convenient for the customer to get the response. So, see, people talk about omni-channel, but have we created that omni-channel at our systems? See, if you look at IIFL, I have a single backbone CRM. Now, whether customer is using WhatsApp, whether he is using voice bot, whether he is using your chat bot, whichever channel you use, finally it lands up into my CRM. I have one mode of channel where I respond and it gives the same answer. And secondly, your agent has the access to complete database, his previous interactions. So the most important part is whichever channel the customer is coming through, are you giving a uniform experience to him? So that is the core to any of the service piece. Other important thing is which customer you are servicing for. You have to understand your customer. Now there are customers who wanted to do it by themselves. They don't want to be kept waiting on the queue. They don't want to wait for the time that 8 to 5 you will be available, after that you are not available. So there you have to understand that is the demand. And you can simply look at it in the way where you can create a voice bot and which can take 90% of the issues at the voice bot itself. Now it is how efficiently you are using the technology, how you are implementing that technology becomes important. Similarly, in email bot, I have seen 90% of the queries can directly be replied by email bot because things are available in your system. But just because customer couldn't find it or doesn't find it convenient to go and check it, he comes back to you. So this will actually declutter your own set of issues, and then you know where to focus on. You should have very clarity which areas you want to focus on, so that you can improve the systems. So if a customer is coming to you, ideally it should be when there is a process failure or there is an issue with the system. So you are able to identify which are your weak areas and you can go back and fix on that. So that enhance next time the customer uses the same service. So look at which channel is being used. Now you have to look at which customer you are addressing to. So if it is a HNI customer, you can't keep him waiting. He cannot go to voice bot, right? If he calls up, the first call has to be picked. So if he is a person with a net worth of 1 CR, he needs a personalized help. He doesn't need any person to talk to. You have to go and approach him. If you have to do a financial analysis or his risk assessment, financial risk assessment, you need to sit with him. So it cannot be done through digital. Though he can do his work by online. If you talk about customer IIFL Securities, he can trade by himself. But what to trade, you have to guide him. Because it's money at stake. For a smaller customer, you can always guide him to do it through mutual funds. Mutual getting a lot of inflows because it becomes convenient. Like I already talked about, the eKYC has opened millions of accounts. And now it is very easy. He can go and invest in mutual funds. But when he wants to invest 50 lakhs or 1 CR, it is creating wealth, right? He is giving a lot of money to you. So the personalized touch, his understanding, his risk assessment, all this has to be done physically. So you can't take it out of the system. So you have to understand which digital channel and how it is to be utilized. So that is where my take is. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dharmender. Ladies and gentlemen, to sum up, I would say that, both these verticals need to go hand in hand. We heard thoughts on idea labs, non-invasive technologies to be brought in for personalization, data privacy, virtual infrastructure taking over the place of the sales team. How do you find out what's best for your customer? Fintech partnerships, best way to go about it. Finding the right fintech fit for your organization. You got to listen to your customer before you convert and look at that data. And naturally, horses for courses. Coming on to horses for courses, I just wanted to end with one example. When we went live with Fino Payments Bank, like any other bank, we just launched a standard saving account, minimum balance 1,000 rupees. We said we are going to the hinterland, typically rural-led bank. Within about 3-4 months, we realized not going anywhere. We went back into the market. We spoke to the customers that why do you not open an account with us? We suddenly realized the answer was so basic that हमें समझ नहीं आता ये MAB क्या होता है, charges क्यों लग जाते हैं, हर महीने क्यों charge लगता है. We said fantastic. We came back onto the drawing board. Within about 2 months, we launched another product where we said we'll charge you once in the year, and after that you can do what you want in the account, no minimum balance. And today we do upward of 275,000 accounts a month. So it is just a question of, probably listening to the customer, converting him back into smaller innovations, which will play the key role to taking, which really And out of 20 innovative ideas, probably one would work. But like somebody brought out, it's got to be a culture, it's a journey. So an idea lab, if you're going to keep penalizing the guy for an idea, don't do that. An idea is there actually to fail. Because there's only going to be 1 out of 20 or 30 which will succeed, but that will what will make the big difference to the organization's next level. With that, ladies and gentlemen, open the floor for any questions. You have a width and breadth of the industry sitting here. So any questions, we're all happy to take them on. Can somebody pass a mic, please? Gentleman at the last row who's got a question. Why don't you just come forward till the time we get a mic? Thanks. हाँ उनको दे दीजिए उधर वो खड़े वीडियो के साथ में.
So hello everyone, my question is to each one of you. So there was a case that was published in Mint recently, like you guys were talking about eKYC, right? So generative AI, one of in the case in US, so there was a KYC that was happening, and generative AI beated the KYC system. So I just wanted to ask you that too much innovation in the banking industry can be a dangerous process, because like this example suggests. So maybe I would like to have your opinion on how we as a banking sector should run in a unison in terms of developing technology which upholds better fraction, basically.
Take the one, Abhineet. Sorry.
Well, like I said, there is an upside and downside to everything, and hence we have someone called as RBI or the regulator who's there in between. So he's ensuring that banks keep it slow and low. Everything undergoes a diligence, a strict compliance process. Couple of banks at a smaller scale who tried jumping the gun are under audits. Of course, the innovation was fantabulous, but of course there is a breach, and wherever, I mean, you need to draw a line. Wherever there is innovation, there is the threat, which also follows. So last couple of years, while they have been very good from a regulation standpoint, people from the banking side have not perceived it well, because the innovation spree was stopped and paused. But at the same time, innovations haven't stopped. So when it comes to banks, in fact, for that matter, even NBFS players, no innovation is being launched with eyes shut. There are multiple levels of diligence, multiple people looking at it at a lens. The compliance teams, the regulatory teams within the bank, all the control functions for that matter, compliance, AppSec, InfoSec, everyone has gone stronger by the day. So yes, such cases have happened in the country as well. Even today, a lot of us who are either on the banking or the financial side, who have all the digital journeys who are open in the public domain, we do see a lot of threats, we do see a lot of anomalies coming in. But we are also trying to tighten our processes, and hence you won't see new things coming up every single quarter also, forget every single day or a month. So that's when I said, with innovation and with continuous evolution in the industry, tech industry, there is danger, but at the same time, there is a lot of interest of the customer which is also protected.
So just to add to that, if you look at it, the Reserve Bank of India now has a fintech and innovation vertical too, which is looking at fintech separately and regulating them within the ambit of banking. Right? And very soon you're going to be seeing papers coming out on that and circulars coming out on that. So it's not that the Reserve Bank does not want regular innovation, but innovation has to be within the parameters or the boundary parameters laid down by the overall regulator. When the tiger economies were growing at double digits, we were in single digits. But when the world fell to negative after Lehman Brothers, after the crash, we were still stable. So I think there's something right that the regulator and the industry does And it's not that, like Aniket mentioned, we don't have our share of issues, but I think we're much better off than the rest of the world in that respect, at least. Anybody else? I think probably time's up, but we can take a last question if there's one. Okay, if there's none, thank you very much. Thank you very much to all of you, the panelists. Thank you very much to everybody, and thank you very much to a lovely audience.
Thanks a lot, fellow panelists, for sharing their insightful on product innovation. For felicitation, I would like to invite on dais Mr. Manoj Gujaran, Chief Compliance Officer of Funawala FinCorp.